Which one of those do you think was a Decepticon? Maybe one, maybe none.
Decepticons are actually very fun, because they're just wicked.
It seemed to serve the story better to have military vehicles being the real theme of the Decepticons, as opposed to too many tape decks or a gun or things that were clever and great in the cartoon, but a little bit unfocused for our purposes.
Michael has a pretty good relationship with DOD, and so it's kind of interesting that we're using all the military in this movie in the robot form are bad guys.
I'll be honest, I had to sort of pitch this to my chain of command in that there's Air Force aircraft as bad guys.
All right, ready? And the first two, go, 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 go.
Because of Michael's relationships in the past and, you know, Armageddon and other films he's done, the thought was that Dealey would get the help of the armed forces in the end.
You see, the Air Force cameraman, I keep trying to tell him, Turturro, let me show you. I'm trying to change his style. See, he's a little rigid. Everything's like this. He looks like that, walks like that. It's rigid. Oh, look, whoa. Now he's got a little MTV style going. See? By lunch, he's got a little MTV style going.
And he loves the military. He knows how to portray the military to make us look good, and so it seemed like a win-win. And people love bad guys. The fact is, I mean, what's cooler than Darth Vader?
I've always been like some of the first to shoot military hardware. In Armageddon, I was the first to shoot the B-2 bomber. Then this movie was the F-22s, which are the new $130 million amazing stealth fighters.
Starscream was an F-15 Air Force jet back in the early cartoon days. And back then, the F-15 in the 80s was the quickest and the fastest and the baddest thing around. Well, fast forward 25 years, the F-22 is now that aircraft.
Rolling. Roll cameras. Roll cameras. Ready, and action. There we go. Look at that. All right, let's do that again. Reset. Very good work, everybody. Reset. Let's do that one more time.
What the Air Force has done in this show has shown us all of the good toys. Brandy new stuff that really hasn't even been put into the field yet.
Is there any hand signals that the crew guys in the front give? Anything you give at all? Any hand signals? All right, I want to do some hand signals. We're going to come right by you. Guys, go back to the crew. What kind of signals do you guys give?
That aircraft is it's just phenomenal what it can do. There's war games they play where they'll send, 3 or 4 of those things out against 20 or so current F-15, F-16s, and it's not even a contest.
Target ID.
They can fire on enemies that are beyond the curvature of the Earth. They can track and fire on things that are 270 miles away. So those guys are dead before they're even within visual contact of that plane.
So it's just very fitting that Starscream, who's the air commander and second in command, takes that form of literally the baddest weapon system in the world right now.
We have Blackout, which is a MH-53 helicopter. It's a gigantic troop transport, mean-looking helicopter.
Just looks badass, like the Cobras are kind of slight, yeah, they carry a lot of firepower, but as far as just looking big and menacing, the Sea Stallion was like the logical choice.
Yeah, I got my fire suit on, baby. I'm directing.
Ready, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4.
I can't think of anything remotely this huge that the Air Force has been involved with, not only in screen time, but just the amount of aircraft and people and shooting on bases and everything that we've done.
What we're gonna want to do is we want to stack you guys up. So with long lens, we'll make you look very close. You know what I'm saying? So we'll put you kind of like this to each other. Like a little bit over there and that a little bit. We're stacked up with the sun. All right?
Coming over the tower.
About 300.
The tower is actually a good place to come.
Airboss, Osprey 17, do you want airplane mode or conversion mode on this?
Left. Correction, right. Right. To me. Come on. Right. To me. Right.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Part of the golden glow. Lower. Yeah. Bring him down
Send him
lower.
away. Turn him around.
Bring him down. Another pass. Take it around.
Well, I was also the first to use the Ospreys, which are for extracting soldiers. It's kind of like a helicopter plane. It's like these gigantic helicopter blades. Looks very dangerous, if you ask me. And they actually rotate down and become gigantic propellers that angle forward and can go about 300-something miles an hour.
Come back, please. Awesome.
Warthogs were a very interesting kind of plane because it's kind of eerie, because they get very low and they're just got this whine to it.
Are they coming, Josh?
They are.
Good. Okay, come higher up. Come higher up. Right now, guys.
And it's got a lethal cannon on it. You know, it's a creepy plane. If you're on the ground, you don't want to be there if it's shooting at you. The military gave us the use of the Spooky, which is a C-130, specially equipped, like 18 guns. It's a thing they use to shoot Taliban in Afghanistan. It's a vicious old plane, but it's very lethal.
The 49th Fighter Wing at Holloman is the home of the stealth fighter, the F-117 Nighthawk.
Well, they scrambled the stealth fighter, like 50 of them staged there, so we had them all rolling around, and it was crazy.
It's still a very sensitive aircraft. The technology that is involved with it's still very top secret.
I don't want you filming from that angle, please.
We had to just basically make sure that certain protocols were kept in mind, that you couldn't film it that way, you couldn't get close to it this way. And once again, the production bent over backwards to make sure that they followed all the rules.
Our tax dollars happily at work.
One of the things that a lot of people don't understand, that all military support is on a cost basis. This costs the taxpayer absolutely nothing.
The movie pays for any costs of the aircraft and personnel that cannot otherwise be used in training missions.
If a helicopter is flying and it costs X number of dollars per hour to fly that helicopter, production company reimburses it.
Technology that the government allowed us to be around, and some of the tools they allowed us to use, you wouldn't be able to get anywhere else in the world.
These are target practice tanks. What they do is, this one is a mock-up of a fake foreign tank. So the targeting systems can pick out friend and foe. When they shoot them in the missile test range.
At Holloman, they have what's known as a tank graveyard, and there's probably 1,000 tanks and self-propelled artillery pieces and stuff like that. And the first time I took Michael in there, he was like a kid at Christmas. He was like, "Can I have that? Can I have that? Can I burn that? Can I blow that up?" You know, absolutely. You know, you want.
Which one do you like the least?
The least?
This one? Yeah. Because
you want to burn it?
No, something a little more wicked. Anything?
Yeah, it was all right.
Peace?
Peace.
And violence.
Yeah.
The tank was something that had already been modified by another show. Somebody owned it already, so we modified it and came up with a cool paint job that was cool, kind of non-radar detectable paint job that was based on some camo that we saw on this futuristic battleship image.
We found on the internet this minesweeper that the military uses. They send to Iraq, and it's very cool. It's called a Buffalo, but we call it Bone Crusher.
How fast does that bone crusher go, by the way? 50. It must take forever to get there, right?
The image that they used to promote this vehicle had this shot of this arm extended and this big multi-tined fork foreground in the shot. And we finally get the data on this machine. And it turns out that this fork is like 14 inches wide. And they totally cheated the whole thing in Photoshop. This giant thing coming at you, you know, that looks like it could lift up a bus. is like this big. We're like, what? You know, so we basically made this appliance that goes over the existing one that more replicates the version of the machine that we had been reacting to.
Originally, the police car was an Autobot. It seems like, to keep with our theme of all the Decepticons seem to take on the disguises of authoritarian vehicles, military jet, tank, police car. It seemed like a good change. So barricades in there as a police car.
Slide the headlight forward and then bring the other arm over. Overtake the headlight. So the idea being to start the light a little.
Barricade is a really fun character. He's wicked mean.
Okay, all right. Okay, stop. I'm sorry. Oh, God. Okay, all right. Okay, look. Stop.
One of the first thoughts we had, of course, was to include Soundwave in the Decepticons. And as in our first draft, we actually did have Soundwave. We started to realize that we were not really servicing that character in a way that was going to make us or fans happy. And so we said, rather than doing it wrong, let's actually create a character who is a distant cousin of Soundwave's. And that's how Frenzy was born.
Frenzy is a boombox that transforms in his wicked little 3-foot-tall, vicious-looking robot. This was something that I invented.
We did an animated Frenzy. We wanted to see, did facial studies on how his eye stalks moved and how his mouth moved and how his mask came out of this little boom box, you know, so we did some exploration with that.
We started with the computer designed puppet, and we had to go back and retrofit and make those things that look mechanical in design actually be mechanical, and take it apart and kind of work backwards.
What they'll do with the full-size mechanical version of this is that when you bring it into the set under the lighting conditions, it's also going to help out with the CGI guys so they can see how an actual real item would react in that environment.
1, 2, 3.
Mostly it's something to interact with the actors because they would have to be fighting against nothing.
Quick. You gotta learn quick. It's from the Robot Spring Collection. It's real nice. It's a new scarf. DreamWorks bought me. I just put it on when I get cold outside. That's all that this is.
There's more where that came from.
Megatron was represented as a pistol, a very realistic-looking pistol that in Japan actually shot little pellets. That mechanism didn't work in the US, but that worked well for a villain in the 80s.
For us, we didn't want anyone shrinking, particularly the bad guy. We realized that for him to do that would be the equivalent of Darth Vader turning into his own lightsaber and having someone else swing him around.
It's a movie. You have to update. To keep it in the 80s, that'd be great for the 25 of you on the internet, you know? But for the world, it's like, you cannot have Megatron as a gun.
Join them in extinction!
Megatron transforms into kind of an alien plane.
Because he's the most arrogant and vain of the whole thing, and because he doesn't have to really hide. He's one of the only Decepticons who actually goes from his protoform right into his alien jet protoform.
What came up was just designing this kind of alien craft, which would hearken to what is happening on Cybertron. So this was a way to show how truly foreign these guys are.